try is spoken. Pollock now, tight spot, left foot, look at this! Got a couple.
On that side of the ground there.
Hey guys, Will here from True Footy. One of my favourite aspects of the AFL off-season is player trades. It's really exciting if your team can pick up a budding superstar or a young gun. Rumours often swirl around heaps of players over their chances of moving. Today, I'm going to assess a few rumours that I've heard and rate them on the possibility of moving out of 1 to 10, with 1 being no chance to move and 10 being going to move. Remember guys, these are just my opinions and it could be wrong. So if you disagree, let us know in the comments and let us know why you disagree. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We know that Mitch McGovern has requested a trade away from Adelaide, even though he's still a contracted player. It sounds very likely he will end up at the Carlton Football Club, although there's set to be strong interest from the Fremantle Dockers as well, seeing as Mitch is a WA boy. I think this trade is pretty likely to happen, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 chance that Mitch moves in the off-season. There was also rumours that Dane Beams had requested a trade away from the Brisbane Football Club, which he has since denied. There's set to be strong interest from a number of Victorian clubs, but coming from Collingwood and still having plenty of good mates there, I'm sure that Collingwood would be the likely destination. However, seeing as Beams is contracted, it's more likely that Brisbane make a hard stance and don't let this trade happen. I think the likelihood of this trade happening in the off-season is a 2 out of 10. There were fresh rumours this week that Lachie Neale was going to receive a big offer from the Brisbane Lions, after apparently at the end of his last contract he was offered a big deal from the Lions. However, being a contracted player, it seems very unlikely Fremantle will be willing to let Neale go, and it seems Neale is settled in WA, so I think the likelihood of this one happening is a 3 out of 10. Alex Fasolo has had his battles in recent years with mental health and with injury, but we know when he plays on the park he can be a quality forward. It's rumoured that the Carlton Football Club has offered Fasolo a 3-year $1 million deal, which Fasolo is set to take. I think it's very likely Fasolo takes this deal. It's good salary, and he'd be probably looking for a fresh start after the last few years. I think the likelihood of this trade happening is an 8 out of 10. There was also recently rumours that Brad Hill was going to request a trade back to Victoria. Brad has recently denied this, and I think the chances of Fremantle letting him go, considering the current position they're in, is very unlikely. I'll give the chances of this trade happening a 1 out of 10. We know the quality of Tim Kelly. He was arguably the best player in an absolute star-studded midfield at Geelong. There are strong rumours though that Tim is homesick, and both West Coast Eagles and Fremantle are extremely interested in Tim. He's still got 1 year remaining on his current contract, and that makes things really difficult for Geelong. Should they trade him while his value is really high and try and get something really good out of either West Coast or Fremantle, or should they wait until he can walk away from the club? I think there's a strong chance Tim will end up at West Coast or Fremantle, but I'm not entirely sure if it will be during this off period. I think the chance of him leaving is 5 out of 10. Rodney Eade confirmed this year that several members of the Gold Coast Suns leadership team had asked for Aaron Hall to be removed from the squad of 22. I think the chance of Aaron Hall moving this period is an 8 out of 10. Another member of the Gold Coast Suns who is reportedly gone is Tom Lynch, with Richmond emerging as a definite destination. This deal almost seems like it's done already, and I think the chances of Tom going to Richmond are 9.5 out of 10. Another hard one to gauge for this off-season is GWS midfielder Dylan Shiel. It's been rumoured that Shiel is very keen to get back to Victoria, but with seemingly impending GWS success, it's likely he sticks around for another year or two to see what can happen at the Giants. I think the likelihood of Dylan Shiel going this off-season is a 4 out of 10. Jesse Hogan to Fremantle seems to be a trade rumour that happens every off-season. Hogan has stated he's very happy at the Melbourne Football Club, and with the club coming good and finally in finals, I think the chance of him leaving to go to Fremantle is very, very small. I give the chance of this one happening a 1 out of 10. In a disappointing season for Port Adelaide, one of the better players to emerge was former Lion Jared Polec. North Melbourne are reportedly willing to offer Jared a $750,000 a year contract. Port's football manager, Chris Davies, believes Polec will accept this offer, so it seems like the likelihood of him staying in the green, white and black to be very low. I give the chances of this trade happening a 9.5 out of 10. One of the more strange rumours to come out of this season is that Jake Lloyd will be leaving the Swans, with the likely destination being the Gold Coast Suns. It's been reported that Jake has turned down 2 separate contract offers from the Swans, believing he can get more money somewhere else. However, I just think this is an attempt to get the Swans to offer him more money, and I think the actual likelihood of him leaving Sydney to be very low. I think the chances of Jake going to Gold Coast or any other club in this off-season are 3 out of 10. At the start of this season, I would have thought there was no way Andrew Gaff would be leaving the Eagles at the end of the year. However, as time goes on and Gaff doesn't sign a new contract, it gets more and more worrying for Eagles fans. There's reportedly a huge sum of money offered to Gaff from Kangaroos on a 5 or 6 year deal, which he is unlikely to get at the West Coast Eagles. After being one of the outstanding players in the AFL of 2018, I think it'd be really disappointing for the Eagles to lose Gaff. The longer time goes on though, the more likely I think he will leave. I'll give the chances of this one happening an 8 out of 10. Scott Lycett is another who is reportedly looking to leave the Eagles after reportedly big offers from both Port Adelaide and the St Kilda Football Club. As with Gaff, it's unlikely the Eagles can afford to match any offer given to Lycett from these clubs, and as such, I think the chance of him leaving is a 7.5 out of 10. One of the other more strange rumours from this AFL season is that Geelong want to lure Luke Dowhouse. This is a hard one to gauge, because in April, Dowhouse told SEN that he wanted to play for the rest of his days with the Bulldogs, but apparently Geelong's offer of $500,000 a year might be too good for him to turn down. It seems likely that Dowhouse's contract expectations are above what Bulldogs are willing to give, and I think there's a good chance that this trade's going to happen. I'll give the likelihood of this one going through a 7.5 out of 10. With all the rumours of Scott Lycett leaving the Eagles, it's been reported that they may look to replace him with young West Australian ruckman Tim English from the Western Bulldogs. The Bulldogs value Tim quite highly though, and I think any chance of getting Tim will have to be from a really good offer from the West Coast Eagles. I'll give the likelihood of this one happening a 3 out of 10.